ready.
Oh my God. We just got home.
We did. We literally just walked in.
Actually, I did. I walked in the house like 10 minutes max ago. I was like, husband, time to go upstairs. I need the room.
Yeah.
We did just walk in, but this is AI After Dark. I'm gonna get comfortable now.
You pour yourself a glass of wine. Usually it's early in the morning and we have coffee, but I actually poured myself a glass of wine.
I didn't have time to do that. I'm so impressed by you right now. You just much deserved. What a night. This is Supercharged by AI, a podcast by AI Portland. I am Megan Notarte, partner at Cloud4, co-founder of AI Portland. As always, joined by my co-founder, my bestie, Nicole Moores, who is a product design leader at Lithium Motors and also the creator of this AI Portland moment. That's us. And we had, so this is a kind of recap episode, right?
Yeah.
Like Nicole said, we normally do these the next day. So we've had a moment, like drink our coffee, but we can't do this tomorrow because I'm going to be on a bus with 133 amazing high school band students. It's 3 buses. They're not all on one bus. So we're doing this tonight. Like we did literally just leave this event.
We just said goodbye to the evening.
We just said goodbye. I didn't even get to say goodbye to Amy. Like that's so fast it was.
It's okay. I said goodbye to her, so we're good.
Thank God there's 2 of us. This event tonight was all about futures thinking in the age of AI. Do you want to like set it up a little bit? A little like why did we bring Amy in?
So I feel we planned this a long time ago, but like in January. So or I think it might have even we talked to Amy even before that. Like it was last year. And even back last year when we talked to Amy and she explained about futurism, about imagining optimistic futures, about that being a muscle you could work out and build, we were like, yes, we need that for ourselves. And usually that's the first sign that something's going to be great content is you and I are just like, I want this for me. So that is sort of the vibe we got, and she delivered. She really did.
She did. I like someone said in the audience afterwards, they were like, this was perfect for this moment. And that makes me so happy because like you said, we've been, bringing this to fruition for a couple of months now. And I also felt like we needed this in this moment. And, to say more about that, like, when we look at if we just look at the technological landscape alone, it can be very easy to be pulled immediately into negativity, immediately into dystopia. I mean, it is on a platter for us right now, right?
Amy even said, like, we are hardwired to be able to think negatively a lot more easier than we are to be able to think optimistically. It's like just easier for our brains as humans to imagine negative outcomes as opposed to positive outcomes. If you watch TV, like, so many apocalypse movies and shows and stuff like that, we eat that stuff up, and it's because it's hardwired into us.
So we have our sort of the emergence of AI, a constant conversation about the future of work, the future of society, all this stuff. Then we have a lot of changes in our federal government, a lot of chaos and uncertainty. And so it's just kind of this perfect storm of this easy ability to just feel like everything's awful. And so we, Amy Pedretti, we are so lucky to have her. She is a professional futurist. She's
trained.
Also
it's a science.
It is a thing. Who knew?
Who knew?
She's also works in AI transformation at Notarte. So she not only like has a very strong muscle when it comes to seeing different versions of futures, but she also deeply thinks about what's happening with AI and what's happening with AI in our workforce and things like that. So that's the setup, right? She gave us a 75-minute talk.
Yeah.
Which might be a new like format for us. You know, at AI Portland,
It did not feel long. You know what I mean? I still wanted more, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And it seemed like people really liked it. She had these moments. So like one of the conceits of the talk was to envision a day in 2035.
Right.
Which is people who know me will know that is not an easy thing for me to do. And the world she set up was a very optimistic but not problem-free possible world in 2035.
Right.
That is hard for me. That is hard for me to sit with. I'm not gonna lie. Was it
Yeah.
hard for you?
I'm terrible at this. I'm a big believer in goals, you know what I mean? But I
Yes.
really just am like, goals for the next 6 months, goals for the year, tops. So this is also really hard for me. I think just based off of like how I was raised and like my life so far, I get a lot of satisfaction in like I have to do these things. I'm a doer. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like it's almost a part of who I am. Like I am hustling, I'm working, I'm providing, I'm doing these things. And so it's really hard for me aspirationally to be like in 10 years. It's like, no, I'm going to be right here. I'm still going to be working. I'm going to be
I'm
doing the
working.
things. Yeah, 100%.
Like it's even harder when she's like, okay, I want you to envision this world in 2035 where like things that I think are like you might work only 2 days a week because
Yeah.
automation has come, and people might get to choose whether they want to work on projects on a traditional like 5-day work week or they're going to work 2 days. And because AI has reached maturity, that people, there's universal basic income, there's universal basic employment, which was like, so this was a very, I'm not even gonna say utopian because there's still problems in this future.
Yeah.
But she wanted us to sit and think about what that day would be like.
Yeah, like what would you do with your time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
She gave some examples like would you choose leisure? Would you choose community work, you know? Like other things like not that we would like sit around and do nothing. Like what would you put your effort towards if you weren't, you know, rise and grind 5 days a week?
Yeah. How will
Yeah.
you spend your day? What did
She
you Oh, go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
she also talked about like that 10-year period, right? Because it's really easy if you're just looking like me to the year. Well, that's really going to reflect just right now, what I'm doing currently, right? And that imagining 10 years in the future gives you enough distance to be able to imagine alternate sort of realities that aren't just focused in the here and now. Business as usual is how she put it.
Right, because it's far enough away that like you're willing to be like, okay, I guess like 10 years feels far enough away. Maybe I'm working 2
Yeah.
days a week.
It's so hard to divorce yourself of the reality of today. You know what I mean? Because in my mind, it's like, shit, how old are my kids going to be? That's going to dictate like what my life is like in 10 years. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
mom robot. Like, what will they be doing? You know?
I mean, it was like by the end of the session, I was like, wait, how old am I going to be in 10 years? Like,
I know.
I don't even, we had a whole debate about it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about how old I'm going to be, but it's old, y'all. It's old.
Yeah.
One of the things she said that I wrote down was that it is not about getting it right, but it's about making decisions towards the direction in the present. Right? Like
Yeah.
it's not
It
about
was
that future coming to be. It's about like setting your direction one step at a time in the present.
Yeah, it's not because the paths be many and different, but about knowing ultimately where you're going. You know what I mean?
Or where you
But
want to
being
go, or where you could go.
flexible, where you could go, but being flexible about how that happens. And then once you know, being able to make these decisions in the now, that maybe will increase the likelihood of that future coming to fruition, is how I interpreted.
Yeah. That plays into our you and I both have this like very practical gene in us that's like goals and set the path and follow the plan and hit the goal, you know. I felt like it balanced that. She talked a lot about signals of change. And I'm curious if you took anything from that.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so this is like signals of change are clues that certain futures may be coming true or may be possible. The example she gave, which I thought was a great one, she talked about sort of like things start out as super speculative, right? And then they move to like become like the fringe are kind of doing it. It's kind of novel, and then the mainstream picks it up, and then it like becomes part of our um, culture, part of our reality. And the example she gave was remote work, right? And there was these clues throughout time that this would become what it is today, where a lot of people after the pandemic work remotely. And there was the mention of like telework in the 1970s.
70s, 73.
Then there was, yeah, flexi places in the 80s. And then
That's
in
hilarious. I don't know that
1999,
word. Yeah.
there was Basecamp, which was one of the first fully remote companies. And then the pandemic hit. 1999.
Wow.
Where were you? Where were you?
I know where I was.
Where were you?
I was in college. I graduated in the year 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, we all know what happened during the pandemic. Companies were forced, you know, we all kind of went home, went to work. But
yeah.
But in the 1970s, the concept of remote work would have seemed, what? People are just going to work out of their houses? That's outrageous. How could that ever work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What? You could go get a snack whenever you want? Your personal bathroom? You don't. I was about to take this in a direction. You all know, if you have been an office worker, there's like the one poop bathroom, you know,
100%,
it's like
100%.
the most private one, and like, you know, the right time of day and stuff in order to be the most private about your pooping, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? Last office building I worked in, that you definitely went to a different floor, but then there were interlopers that came to your floor, and you're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing there?
It's a whole
there's a balance world that you are throwing off. Anyway, the whole concept of working from home had to have been like outrageous, unfathomable. And so we have these same things like, if no one works, what would happen? That's out of control. You know what I mean? But these futures, like, you could use these signals of change, these clues to be like, oh, wow, okay, I see you, you know, and use that to sort of bolster those optimistic muscles that maybe the world isn't a complete dumpster fire, that we're all just living moment to moment trying to survive.
Yeah, I mean, she showed examples of like how there are tests of universal basic income. There are tests of universal basic employment, which was a concept I actually was not familiar with. So I sort of took those as we can look for those signals as a way of helping us look to ways that things might come to fruition, because they do often start with a small thing. Okay, back to what else did you take away? I don't want to interrupt your wine drinking. You deserve it. You deserve it.
It's 9:00. This is the most appropriate wine drinking there ever was.
I mean, I think everyone should know that the fact that you and I are like vertical and speaking to each other at 9.
Yeah, I know. I should be snuggling in bed with my daughter reading Nancy Drew.
Ooh, I'm still dying to know who was the villain
We
in
don't
Nancy
know. We
Drew.
don't know. We don't
I still
know.
don't know.
We don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
going for Hawaiian shirt guy.
I think it's the boyfriend. I do.
It's always the boyfriend.
It always is. Yeah.
What else?
Okay. I appreciated, some of this futurism. It can give off woo vibes, right? So I appreciated that she was like,
Yes.
there's no crystal ball, Megan, one of the least woo people I have ever met. What color
I can
is
put
your
it
heart
on
today,
sometimes.
Megan? What color is your heart today?
Green.
100% is green.
Always green.
I appreciated that she called us out, that it can sound sort of fantastical to talk about these things or imagine these things, but there is actually science behind it. And it's not easy. It is something that you can work on. And yeah, it is hard. I don't know about you, but when I imagine my personal future, and then I also like imagine things like not working, I immediately am like, I'll live under a bridge.
I mean, this is an actual part of my psyche, is that I think that I'm like 2 decisions away from living under a bridge. Like that is literally how I think.
Yeah.
So I get that. One of the takeaways I had was like using these mental frameworks give us agency over the future, and that when you go to this dystopian place all the time, right? And she specifically was like, I am not peddling hopium, right? Positive, toxic positivity. We're not. But if you go to that dystopian place all the time, who is benefiting from that?
Yeah. If you don't feel like you have any agency over the future or what happens to you, ask yourself, who is the beneficiary of that?
Who is benefiting from the hopelessness, the lack of agency? And I think that that's a really, really important concept. We talk about this to kind of bring it back to AI. You and I often talk to people about being engaged and not getting overwhelmed, because we need everybody at the table to have parts of this conversation and to have agency over what's happening.
Because if you don't, it's just these companies that want to profit. It's just them.
Yeah. So it's a similar concept. I wrote that down because every day you and I have conversations where people go immediately to the doom and gloom.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's important to visit those places. I mean, she didn't just talk about optimistic. That was the goal of the talk, but she wasn't peddling like toxic positivity and we're only going to think about optimistic things. But I think it's just so easy for us to go to that place that we need to work the muscle to go to the more optimistic place.
Absolutely.
I did also take one other thing, which I have to sit with because it's, we've had, 45 minutes to think about this. She said something about, are we doing a disservice when we think about human in the loop versus full unemployment? Did you catch that?
Yeah, that was interesting. That was really interesting.
So human in the loop right now, from where we sit, Nicole and I literally give this talk, right? We have given a human in the loop-esque talk 3 times in the last 4 weeks or something.
Yeah.
One just yesterday. So that is a challenging thing because I think in this moment, human in the loop is really important. Really, really, really important. But it's interesting when she talks about it in terms of, well, when you say full unemployment, so everything's automated, humans don't have to be the humans in the loop for a job. Why is that automatically a negative thing? It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. and part of that might be our conditioning. You know what I mean? Part of that might be the stories we've ingested, the sci-fi where there's no like the robots take over the world. You know what I mean? And there should have been a human in the loop, and because there wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was her whole message was like, consider other options. Consider other options, you know?
It's really hard because I think both you and me are resistant to extremes, right? We I think we do resist when it comes to AI, effectively resist the doom and gloom, right?
Right.
Will we also resist the techno optimism? Because
100%.
both of those, you sort of take away agency. You're sort of like, well, all the good stuff is going to happen, and so I don't have to worry about it right now. And I think those both are dangerous. But it's just an interesting thing.
Both sides, both extremes feel like a cop out to me. Because on either side, you get to be like, I don't have to do anything because it's going to be wonderful, or I'm not doing that because it's going to be horrible. You know what I mean? And it removes your personal accountability to what's going on.
That reminds me of Christian Hammer's blog post this week where he was it this week? I don't even know. What day is it? Was it last week? Might have been last week. Talking about absolutism. And I think it was sort of around this concept, and it really did, that part really hit home for me, because you're right. You get to kind of just go, well, it's all bad or it's all good. It's going to be fine. I don't have to do anything. Yeah.
But we all should be in it. We all should be aware. We all should be paying attention.
Yeah.
One thing that I took away from the evening is that these coveralls winning.
Seriously.
I just want to say, I started out the day with my daughter saying I look like a garbage man. And I got so many compliments on my coveralls. So many.
I mean, listen, Wildfang, if you want to sponsor this podcast or AI Portland, like, I'm just saying, we would be, you know, give us a call. Call us up.
I love
Do people do this anymore?
Love it.
Do people do this anymore? Give me a call. It's just not the same. Do the kids do this?
I don't think so.
What do they do?
I don't think they call each other.
Well, right, but if they're like,
then they Snapchat.
They give me. We'll ask the children.
Yeah, we'll have to. We'll come back with that.
Okay, one, I get maybe final, I don't know, practical thing that I took was and maybe I said this earlier, but this is a better way, to seek seek certainty less, and instead seek more clarity about direction.
Yeah.
And I was like,
because there is no certainty, you know what I mean?
Girl,
there is no certainty in anything. So
should we just have this moment? Okay, did you write down your aspirational 2035?
I said future of wildest dreams. That's hard. I love
you wrote that?
Yes, I did. My wildest dreams. It's just like, oh, God, I'm really, really bad at that. Like, that should be easy. What are my wildest dreams? You know?
I am really bad at it too. I know. I mean, I told you, I don't even know if I should say this, but that the book that Amy referenced so much, Imaginable, I have read that book, and while she was talking, I went to my Goodreads and I was like, oh my God, I gave this 2 stars.
I feel like this is like, Megan, you and I, we're so complementary. We're so different in so many ways. I feel like this is one of the ways that you and I are very similar, where I'm just like, I'll just say it right here in reality. I know what is possible is probably like really similar to this. You know what I mean? Like, this is as good as it gets. Yeah. This is my wildest dreams. What are you talking about?
I'm living it right now.
I'm living the dream. Hashtag having it all.
AI Portland in 10 years.
I love that idea. Like, I did for a moment be like, oh, what would that be like to be back in this room 10 years from now with this group of people?
So for those who weren't there, one of her examples of like, imagine that you were at the 10-year reunion of AI Portland. She's like, it's not going to be AI Portland because that would be like saying Internet Portland. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely right. You and I talk about that all the time, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I was laughing because I was like, that's adorable. And I mean, honestly, tonight's group was just like I would want to be at a 10-year reunion with all those
Me
friends.
too.
You know?
Me
like it just
too.
it felt like a good crowd. You know, we had a big group and it felt like everybody was like there for that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know.
totally.
It felt very intentional, and I really liked that. So I wrote down my aspirational content, financially secure. Come on, Wildfang, give us those sponsorship dollars. Connected to community, and then I wrote still married to Nicole.
Oh my god! Not even Ernest. Not even Ernest.
He doesn't listen to this podcast.
We love Ernest. We love Ernest.
We do. Yeah. We do love Ernest.
It wasn't Ernest because that's assumed. It's like
obviously
100% assumed.
Obviously, but I was like, I hope you and I are still doing things, you know?
That would be wildest dream is that that we got to do more collaborative projects together. That wasn't just AI Portland would be my wildest dream.
I mean, you and I are scheming on some things. We're scheming on some things. Yeah. So stay tuned or whatever.
Shout out to our volunteers.
Dude, I wrote that down.
This was our trial run of having AI Portland volunteers, and they showed up. They were so helpful.
I mean, we should say that the team from 52 Limited are ride and die volunteers, right? Tonight we had John, Logan. They know what they're doing. They're checking people in. You don't have to tell them anything. They're like, where are the iPads? I got this. What do you want me to do? Amazing. I literally am so appreciative of them and all that 52 does to help support us and help make these events happen. But we brought in new friends to help us with event setup and like putting out food and welcoming people and telling them where the bathroom is and helping us tear down, because really pretty much it's been you and me, friend, doing all of this.
Thinking in my mind, like if you go imagine our first one in January of 2024, we did have Kristen, OG original friend volunteer.
Right. Shout out Kristen. Yeah.
But I mean, where our events are now, it's just, you know,
there's a lot of logistics.
Yeah, there really is. But like amazing growth and yeah.
So shout out to volunteers. If you are someone listening, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to be in that group of people, like give us an email, hit us up on LinkedIn.
Totally.
It's really incredibly helpful and we appreciate it so much. We also had some help from Mari, who was helping us a little bit with social media. So we're starting to, you know, bring in some help so that you and I can continue to focus on the things that we do really well. One of the things I do not do well is set out food for events. Okay.
Nope.
Do not.
Hopefully not.
I'm bad at it. It's not for me. Stresses me out. I get sweaty. I don't like it.
She's away from the snack table.
I didn't have to do the snack table today.
I didn't even see you at the snack table.
I know.
Nowhere near.
What a dream. I mean, what a dream.
If the volunteers did nothing else but keep Megan from the snack table,
Success. I was wondering if you wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about our presentation to the Consular Corps today. I did not prep you for this.
Okay, no, I'm here for it. For it.
So this is, y'all, this is live. This is live TV, friends. We had the opportunity this week to give an AI fundamentals talk to the Oregon Consular Corps, which is a group of honorary consuls, former diplomats, these are folks that work with other governments, represent those government interests in Oregon, whatever. But the thing, like, that was so cool, by the way. You and I suited up.
Talk about things I never imagined doing ever. Like if you had told me when we were sitting on your couch, a year and a
December of
half ago,
2023, yeah,
that we would be, invited to the university club in the gold room to have lunch with a room full of diplomats and talk about AI, I would be like, what? Just an honor and great people.
Yes.
And super enthusiastic and wanted to know everything that we knew and had to tell them, and just very positive.
Also,
and
they thought we were really young, and so I'm like,
we were on a few different mentions of how young we are, which,
I'm like, you might need to look just a little bit closer. Anyway, I bring it up because one of the things that continues to impress upon me as we talk to so many people is that there are still a lot of people who have not used a generative AI tool, do not understand yet how it could be helpful, what the good things are, what the bad things are. And so, I mean, I guess the reason I wanted to bring that up is because it's so easy to kind of think that, we're doing AI Portland. Everyone in AI Portland is talking about AI. Oh my gosh, they must be doing AI all the time. AI, everything is going to solve all the problems. And then you get in the room with real people and you're like, all right, it's okay for you to be learning, for you to be giving it a try just now. Like, you're not super far behind. You know what I'm saying?
You're not behind. You're not behind at all. And you should try it out. You should get on the train. It has not passed you by yet.
Yeah. I think that was really was a big takeaway for me. We talk to a lot of folks, and usually we say, like, how many of you have tried ChatGPT? Because ChatGPT is the easiest thing to talk about, most common one. And every room there are people who are like, nope, I haven't tried it yet. I don't know. Sometimes from where you and I sit, I'm like thinking, like sometimes when you and I talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't made an agent yet. I haven't like fully figured out how all of that works. And like, oh, I'm so far behind. You're like, oh my gosh, like, whew. No, it's okay. I don't know. It's very interesting.
I thought it was cute that you thought they would know what a brogrammer was.
That joke did not land, everybody.
No.
I even like said it. I tried to say it like really clearly.
Brogrammer. What's a brogrammer? And they're like, we don't know. We don't know either.
Not a single reaction.
Brogrammer.
Single reaction.
So good. I'm going to remember that. Remember when Megan used the term brogrammer at the diplomat luncheon? I'm always going to remember.
Okay, for those of you who we spoke to about this before, Nicole did not say flesh bags.
I did not. I was on my best behavior. I was like trying so hard. Megan did such a good job. She is amazing. Just so you all know, on the record, I was on my best behavior. I did not say flesh bags. I did not swear. I didn't do any. I just tried to not embarrass Megan.
Listen, first of all, I don't worry about that. If you said flesh bags to the diplomats, it would have been the right time to use the word flesh bags for the consular officials. You know what I mean? Trust all the way. It was really fun. So
it was fun.
Do you have anything else for our first 9 p.m. podcast recording?
No, this was fun. And not gonna lie, I'm glad I don't have to get camera ready in the morning.
Y'all, that was the actual, like, I would say 75% of the calculus of like, do we get up at 5 a.m. and do this, or do we do it tonight? And we both were like, I mean, we're already going to be dressed and everyone has already seen us. So like, let's just go with this. Nicole, I also would like last thing for the record. You told somebody there's going to be AI Portland merch. You told somebody that we were going to have AI Portland merch.
First of all, I said if we had the funds. So, if anyone's out there interested in sponsorship, specifically for merch, I said yes, we would do some shirts, some cool shirts.
We do have some limited edition custom shirts made by our friend Marie, book club extraordinaire Marie, made us a couple t-shirts. But these are unique one-offs. I think Nicole has lost hers. I'm not gonna lie.
I haven't. Somewhere.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap.
That's it.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of Supercharged by AI. Subscribe to get all the latest episodes and check us out at aipdx.info for more information.
I think it's so funny, the angle. Look, you can see the little dogs down there.
Oh, look at those. Look at those people. Oh, are they snuggling?
They are snuggling. They're like, what are you doing up talking into your computer at this time?
This hour.
They're sleeping. They're like, it's time for bed.